Well, hello there, Assurance Heroes, and welcome to the A-Plan podcast. A is for assurance, and this is your weekly audit and risk talk show. He's Emre, the tech guy.
He's Andy, the communication guy.
All right, so what have we got for you this week? This week's topic is this. What are the limits of data mining when it comes to the value internal audit delivers? This one, an interesting one, a hot topic, I think. Your thoughts, Emre, what do you think?
This is a buzzword for at least 15 years now. And still, there's a bit of ambiguity when we're talking in the context of internal audit.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you the internet. Oh, please, no flash photography. You'll harm the internet.
It's nothing but a disciplined approach to analyze raw data by inspecting, transforming, and modeling data to discover the facts, which may not be crystal clear at first glance.
Yeah, I think it's this is one of the ones that you shared with me, which I found extremely useful. You've got that pyramid, the sort of data pyramid. We start with this huge volumes of raw data. And the raw data doesn't mean anything much to anybody.
Clearly.
So we're turning this data into information. We're turning it into information into knowledge. And if you're the skilled auditor, then you're turning that knowledge into wisdom. And it's at that point that we're adding an incredible amount of value to the business.
Exactly. It's all about creating that wow effect to management based on the information that is readily available for them to make the deep dive analysis, to provide this wisdom and the insights. Being relevant in internal audit is something that we have been talking a lot in this podcast series.
100%, yeah.
Which is all about providing the insight at the end of the day. And many of the data mining tools provide the auditors the ability to discover and analyze the patterns, the anomalies, the outliers, and extract other useful data that you can think of when we're doing an audit for a process or for a business. Historically, when we're talking about data mining, the first thing that comes into mind is the Excel sheets.
That's right, yeah.
And the auditors, as you know, depend on a sampling while they're doing their tests.
Yes, that's right. Traditionally, yeah.
Yes, but today we are no more in this conventional business context. We are in the big data era.
I know. Prayer Post-its.
That's where data mining and analytics solutions comes into the scene by providing the auditors not only to look at the sample, but to cover the 100% of the data, which is make available to them.
In our lifetimes, in the last sort of 20 years that you and I have been observing audit and observing the changes in this, we've seen this huge change from that. Ultimately, it was about sampling. We take an amount of something, dip in, find some insight from the sample. But in those days, I think ultimately the audit report isn't telling management, isn't telling the process order, the auditee, anything that they don't already know. But the fact, as you mentioned there, that we can take these huge volumes, unimaginable amounts of raw data and get that wisdom out of it, it's where it's a real game changer, right? It
is. And maybe to elaborate further on this point, Andy, before the era of big data, we used to say that the conclusions of an audit is as accurate as the data that is made available to the auditors.
Yes.
Okay.
Indeed,
but today, with the big data era, what counts is not only how much data you have, but how much you can learn from what is made available to your audit team, so that you may provide that insight to your audit clients.
Yes, indeed. We're able to offer not just hindsight, but foresight. You know, this is where we've come from. This is where we are. This is where we can predict things will go in the future. So much more insight into the risks themselves, right?
Clearly.
Stopping the business strategies from moving forward.
Clearly. And beyond that, the analytics provides the auditors to better understand the business, the processes that they're auditing.
Yes.
And they provide to the auditors what happened in the past, how to avoid the reoccurrences, and what is probability of the same thing of happening in the future.
Yes. And I think at the same time with that, if you can present it to the business that way, it's much more attractive. Because if you could say to the business, look, this is what happened in the past, and we're sort of, I don't know, 70% likely to see this again if we keep on going in this way, then straight away, you don't have to sell the so-called finding. Business sees the importance of that and wants to avoid it. So they become the champions of change themselves. The great Norman Marks, the audit and risk godhead, he says something like this. So he said, assurance may be greatly enhanced by technology, but it's led by people. So I think when it comes down to this, we need the right data, and we need the right interpretation of the data as well. Whenever I'm reading or thinking about data analytics or data management, I'm always remembering Abraham Wald, the Hungarian Jewish professor from the Second World War. Yes. So if you think about the different application for data analytics in the Second World War, this is where this guy was really a pioneer and had an incredible impact. One of those areas was on bomber planes, fighter planes that were flying over into enemy territory to drop bombs. Approximately 20% of the planes were being lost. So Bomber Command and the United States Air Force, they wanted to understand what they could do to help the survival of their pilots, their flight crews and their planes. So what they did a statistical analysis of the planes that returned. They were obviously covered with bullet holes. So they thought what we need to do is analyze the pattern of bullet holes. So they looked at all the different planes. Where is the pattern of bullet holes? Where do we need to armor and fortify these planes so that they're better protected? Okay. And what they found.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting, right? So the data analytics told them this: the bulk of the damage is to the wings and the tail of the plane. So obviously this is where we need to concentrate the armor. You can't armor the whole plane. But this was the insight of Abraham Wald. He said, if you do that, it won't make a damn bit of difference. It won't make any difference, right? We're losing 20% of the planes now. If you do that, we're going to lose 20% of the planes in the future as well. It will be a complete waste of time. Now, this seems weird, doesn't it, right? It's about the quality of the data, and it's about the way that you analyze the data, because Wald's point was this: if the plane sustains damage to the wings and the tail, it can still return back, because you're analyzing, exactly right, you're analyzing the planes that make it back. The 80% of planes that make it back, they made it back. Yeah, with holes in the wings, holes in the tail, but they made it back. So what do we need to analyze here? You're looking at the wrong data. We need to analyze the damage to the planes that don't make it back.
Clearly, yes.
Where's that damage? That damage is to the engine.
Yes.
So again, whatever data you're analyzing, you've got to make sure that you've got the right data.
This is the end, beautiful friend.
So data mining and data analytics has been around for 20 years or so. It's something, it must have for internal audit.
Absolutely, yes.
But there are some pitfalls that we have to pay attention while leveraging from this technological capabilities, Andy.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, ultimately, you cannot remove this from your toolkit as an auditor. All right, super. So what time is it?
If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team.
So it's A-Team time. If you have an assurance problem, if no one else can help you, then we can, because we're your assurance agony ants. Send any questions or any topics you'd like us to talk about to the aplan@zohomail.eu, and we'll be happy to share our opinions with you. So that's it for this week, Assurance Heroes. This has been the A-Plan podcast. A is for assurance. And remember, when your A-Plan's good, you don't need no B-Plan.